Hey everyone, my name's Pete, and one time, my crush and I got trapped in a water park after it closed. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. Watch until the end and comment your title ideas for the follow-up of this story or for a different one. We'll pick the most unique ideas. If you can't think of a title, make sure to like the ideas you prefer in the community section, and enjoy the video. It was a normal day, all things considered. The sun was shining and the water park was bursting with the weekend crowd. I was there because my cousin dragged me there for Zoe's birthday party. It's not that I didn't want to go, it's just that I had a massive crush on her. I know, I don't make sense. But whenever I'm anywhere near Zoe, I just kind of can't handle it. I want to be near her, and I want to talk to her, but my brain tells me to go hide. I'd never managed to pluck up the courage to even say hello to her. Not once. So that Saturday, my cousin, being the ultimate wingman that he was, arranged for me and Zoe to share a table at her party. The moment she sat down, I immediately began shoving food down my gullet. I smiled at her with my eyes because my mouth was too full to move, and she laughed at how ridiculous I looked. My awkwardness served as an icebreaker. Zoe didn't leave or find me too weird. She actually said hello and introduced herself. I swallowed what food was left in my mouth. Here was my chance. I had to make a good impression. But just as I opened my mouth and offered my hand for her to shake, Candy suddenly appeared between us, blocking my view of Zoe. Candy shoved me and squeezed herself in the space between my crush and me. And then she began distracting her with talk of other boys. College boys. I really disliked Candy. Sure, she was pretty and rich, and she gets awesome grades too. But she was just too intense, and she picks on people at school. She even made our gym teacher cry once. What I really hated the most about Candy was that she always gets in the way of me and Zoe. The main reason I hadn't really gotten to know my crush was because of my incurable shyness. True, but every time I would even consider approaching Zoe, Candy would always suddenly swoop in to take her friend away. It was almost as if she had a motion sensor where every time I'd try to get close to Zoe, she'd get an alert and then she'd rush to rescue her friend. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe Candy just sits and watches her friends wherever she goes. I can't tell you. Either way, I wish she'd just go away. But she never did. The party eventually ended and Zoe and Candy were still together. I was already deathly shy of approaching Zoe on her own. If I had to do it while her friends are present, I think I'd rather just grow old alone. The crowd thinned when the sun went down. But Zoe and Candy were still in the pool, talking about boys and which one of their friends is dating who. And there I was, just watching them like a total creep, waiting for my opportunity to join in. But then I realized... What? It was dark already? I looked, and there was absolutely nobody else around. I shot up from where I was sitting. I shouted so suddenly, the girls whipped their heads towards me. What the heck are you shouting for, dork? I ignored Zoe's insult and pointed at the long, winding walkway which led to the nearest gate. The lights were shutting off one by one, and we saw the guard about to drive off outside the gate. We ran. We ran so fast, I don't think I've ever run that fast in my life. The gates were automatic, so as soon as the guard left, they began to slowly close. We raced against the lights, but each time we caught up, the lampposts ahead of us would flicker out and turn off. By the time we reached the gates, there was only space for one to slide through. Go, Zoe! You go ahead! You go and call for help! But it all happened so quickly. Zoe avoided being pushed through the gap before the gate closed. Instead, she turned around and pushed Candy out. I can't let you do that. You're my bestie, and we got locked in here because I forgot the time. Candy was free, but something in her face told me she wasn't happy. She didn't say a word, but just stamped her feet as she left. I had a distinct feeling that Candy wasn't going to call for help. This was her plan. What? I looked at Zoe and wrinkled my face in confusion. Yeah, She wanted to be stuck in here with you, and I figured I'd help her. But I don't know, I just had a feeling you wouldn't like that. And besides, what? Nothing, never mind. You want to go try out the Tube of Death? I've always wanted to try it, but I get nervous when there's lots of people around. Race you there! Zoe was a lot of fun, and I realized I'd been putting off talking to her for nothing. Talking to her was easy, as if we'd known each other for ages, and we liked a lot of the same things. I couldn't believe I hadn't just talked to her when I first wanted to. Exploring the water park at night was both crazy fun and creepy. It was exhilarating, screaming at the top of our lungs as we slid down the monstrous slides. We even climbed the big ones just to see if we could climb up them. Big surprise, we couldn't, especially since we turned on the water. Zoe broke into the park's office and turned on the lights and everything else. I know, it's probably a crime, but she had no choice, especially after seeing me freak out about every tiny noise and every shadow that moved in the dark. Being a wimp paid off, though, because every time I jumped from fear, Zoe held me close. She protected me and calmed me down. I didn't know hugging a girl could feel that good. We slept in the manager's office. She took the couch and I took the floor next to her. We fell asleep holding hands. I woke to a violent start, though. Somebody had just dumped a bucket of water at me. It was the park manager, and he was not amused. We explained what happened, and eventually the manager calmed down and was just thankful 2 kids didn't starve to death at his park. That would have been awful publicity. Instead, he blamed the security guard who left without double-checking that the park was empty. If it hadn't been for that guard, though, I wouldn't have gotten to know Zoe. So I begged the manager not to fire him, and we left with free passes and got driven home by the manager. It was about a month later that I got to go to another birthday party. This time, I really didn't want to go. It was Candy's. Given that Zoe's party was such a blast, Candy didn't want to be outdone. She organized for all the girls in our class to go on a luxurious spa day. Zoe made me tag along, though. She said Candy specifically told her to. Zoe and I were already seeing each other, but Candy clearly still wanted me for herself. It wasn't the first time she tried to get us to break up. Just a week before her birthday, she sent a text from Zoe's phone pretending to be her saying that she was breaking up with me. That didn't work. I didn't understand why Zoe was still friends with her, but I tagged along anyway. The funny thing was, the moment we laid down for our massages, the power went out. There was widespread commotion. The staff told us not to panic, but the girls did anyway. There were sirens blaring outside. It turned out there was some violent riot that started just outside the mall. And for everyone's protection, nobody was allowed to head to the streets. We were put under lockdown. Zoe held me close. Why does this always seem to happen to us? I laughed. I don't know, but I guess I just have the best luck in the world. What was that? I looked down at my shoes and rubbed the back of my neck. Nothing. I just said, I don't know either. They told us we'd be in there for a couple hours, but the day turned into night and the riot went on. Several times Candy tried to get me alone, but I never let her. The spa staff were so nice, they treated all of us to free treatments as we waited to be let out. We went into the sauna, had foot spas, and mud baths. I honestly never felt so pampered in my life. That night, I went and shared a room with Zoe. She was my girlfriend after all, but while I was getting our sleeping area ready, I heard the door close. It was Candy. What are you? That was all I could say before Candy jumped on me. She started kissing me, but I kept trying to push her off. Suddenly, 2 more sets of hands held me down. They were Zoe's friends. But why? Why are they helping Candy? I'm gonna take a picture of this, and Zoe will break up with you at last. But before she could even snap a picture, the door opened again and Zoe stood there in shock. It's not what it looks like! I screamed. But Zoe already knew. She kicked the girls off of me and dragged me out of the room. The moment we got out of the spa, Zoe was no longer friends with Candy and the two girls. The rest of her friends spread the word of what Candy tried to do, and from then on, she never bothered us again. I still have nightmares about her, but I'm glad she got expelled.